hoping that you all are staying safe during this pandemic. Books and Movies welcomes you all to this next episode to celebrate and enjoy some poetry with emphasis on emotions and imagination. Gothic literature is a part of romantic movement in English literature which flourished during the late 18th and early 19th century. So before we proceed, my question is, do you believe in God or in spirits and ghosts? Have you encountered any supernatural occurrences in your life? I personally believe that many of us have experienced such incidents, the so-called supernatural encounters, which is outside the realm of our existence, something beyond our knowledge, and something beyond just simple answers. I know many of us believe in such incidents and stories, and the rest simply deny it. But we do love to watch the horror movies. The Gothic still lives, right? We have watched The Conjuring, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, the famous Amityville movie. So many of us believe in the world beyond our existence, which when collides with the fleshly world, might take away that little piece from people who accidentally step on them. There are people who have had such experiences that makes a great impact in their life. It's like an earthquake visiting a particular place and disturbing the peaceful environment, leaving a void, a crater within the lives of those associated with these unnatural entities. So with a touch of supernatural in it, we bring you the famous poem, The Listeners, written by an acclaimed early 20th century British author, Walter de la Mare. This poem will take the reader to distant, unfamiliar places, perhaps untold centuries into the past, or perhaps deep into the subconscious dreamscapes of the reader's mind. This poem was a favorite recitation assignment among British school teachers for decades. The poem was lent a heightened degree of moral significance when the English novelist and poet Thomas Hardy, on his deathbed in 1926, asked his wife to read him 3 poems before he passed away, the first being The Listeners. In the poem, a dutiful traveler has arrived on horseback at an old castle that seems deserted and feels haunted by lingering spectators that listen but never reply to the traveler's knocks and appeals. So joining us today to read this poem is my beloved friend, a research scholar, an artist, and a nature enthusiast. She is Sindhura Datta, all the way from Kolkata, giving us all her precious time. So please listen and enjoy.
"Is there anybody there?" said the traveller, knocking on the moonlit door, and his horse in the silence champed the grasses of the forest ferny floor, and a bird flew out of the turret above the traveller's head, and he smote upon the door again a second time. "Is there anybody there?" he said, but no one descended to the traveller. No head from the leaf-fringed sill leaned over and looked into his grey eyes, where he stood perplexed and still, but only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice from the world of men, stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair that goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an air stirred and shaken by the lonely traveller's call, and he felt in his heart the strangeness, their stillness answering his cry, while his horse moved, cropping the dark turf, neither the starred and leafy sky, for he suddenly smote on the door even louder and lifted his head. "Tell them I came, and no one answered, that I kept my word," he said. Never the least stir made the listeners, though everybody he spake fell echoing through the shadowiness of the still house. From the one man left awake, aye, they heard his foot upon the stirrup and the sound of iron on stone, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone.